All right, guys. So for today, we're going to go over the Route for Me Route Planner. It's a very simple application to use. And I'm not the developer or anything for this for this application, so I don't know the ins and outs of the application, but I'll show you as best as I can as far as what I know how to go about this application. So all the routes that we get from the DCC leads that we get from the office. It's a stack of 20, 30, whatever you request. You go ahead and input all the address information into this route planner. And the route planner, the unique part about this planner is that it will route all these leads within a 2 to 3 minute time for, I guess, distance from each other. So it allows you to be very effective out in the field.
I like that one.
So much so that you can go through all these leads very effectively. It allows you to go through as many as you need to, and we understand in this industry, it's a numbers game. So the more people that we get in front of, the more opportunities that we have to close out that deal. So I like to use this application. Once you're able to input all your address information, it'll route it for you. I like to put my departure address being my home address, the convenience of being 15 to 20 minutes away from the area that I do DCC in. It'll route this route here for me on a round trip too. So it will allow me to go through every single address that I need to visit for that day, and it'll take me back to my house, basically. The most effective way, using the less amount of time and the distance. So again, it allows you, the agent, to be very effective out in the field. It has a part where you can put notes in there, see what happened, whether you got in front of that person, if you did get to talk them off, what did you speak about, was it retirement, was it life insurance, did you find out they had life insurance, are they sick, whatever. You can put those notes in there and also make those notes on your lead information here, just like I do. I usually put it in the front, but you can also use this application for that. It allows you to basically, it's like a fingerprint or whatever. Just check off the ones that you've already visited, and it'll note that as well. I find it very helpful, this application here.
Did you say you can upload notes on it?
Yeah, right on the spot.
What about like if you snap an image of the lead, can you actually upload it?
That's a great question. It's only notes. Actually, you're right. You can actually put pictures in there if you want to take a picture of the address or the house.
Or actually the lead.
Yeah,
Okay,
so you can have a good understanding of what that looks like. If you need to, you can take a picture of
Really
what
cool.
that looks like, or the lead information, and just input it onto that route there. Very, very, very helpful application.
Subscription.
You do have to subscribe.
Oh, yeah, subscribe to that. Do that.
Yeah, it's $9.99 for you to have access to all the perks that this application has to offer. I do pay for it just for convenience, because I go out in the field a lot, so on average 2 to 3 times a week. So if you're going to that many times like I am, you're going to need the application. The amount, the free or limited routes, the limited routes that you have, which is about 10, as far as what I hear.
10 a month.
10 a month, and you can go through those very quickly. Keep in mind that you're going to DCC 2 to 3 times a week.
Yeah. So when you have this app, when you have the app on, it automatically every day, like the leads pop up automatically.
Yeah,
just run through it.
they'll be saved on your.
No, what she's asking is how you get the leads into a route for me.
Oh, so you have to input these manually. So you'll get the stack of leads. I don't know, whatever you request, which I encourage you guys to do 20 or more. Give yourself an opportunity. So you do 20 or more leads is what we do. We're handing out 20 to 25 per agent. So you go ahead and input these manually into your application. So once you do, it'll route them for you from the closest distance. That way you're very effective. You're not wasting time. Because when I first started, although I was told that there are route planners out there, but I took matters in my own hands, and I found out that if you don't prepare for this opportunity that we have, it can be very difficult. You'll spend a lot of the time in the field manually inputting these addresses, and you'll find out that you're going from one side of the city to the other, which could take 15 to 20 minutes. In comparison to, it'll route them for you 2 to 3 minutes apart from each other. So it allows you to go through that many more clients or see that many more clients just that much more effectively. So, this is why we use this route planner, so that way.
Routes better. That's what you're saying.
Right, 2 to 3 minutes away. You could set it if you want to avoid tolls, highways. If you want to avoid construction, whatever application, and you can use Waze. You can use any navigation.
Oh, okay, so you actually link the navigation.
Yeah, you can use
Let me
Waze.
ask
You can
this.
use Google.
So
whatever.
I'm guessing it would be on the paid subscription part, but let's say you wanted to have it send out notifications, will it do it?
A notification.
Like, let's say you had in there appointment with client at 5 p.m. Thursday. Can it link to your calendar, or does it have that ability?
That's a good question. I could definitely
Because that would
get
be
back
really
to you guys.
cool
If
if
they
we could
could
do that. I mean,
add it
shoot,
onto
that's
your
like
calendar.
that's like if that's the case, that can essentially be like a makeshift CRM pretty much. You know what I mean? Like
Potentially, yeah.
for your own personal.
Well,
what you can do,
in 300 feet, turn right on West Park Avenue.
you can scan barcodes through this thing, and you can send through another navigation application. But as far as you being able to add it onto your calendars for your phone, it doesn't seem like you could do that at the time. So I can definitely answer that question later.
I've got a question. How many people in here are using Route for Me? Is anybody not using Route for Me, or is anybody using an alternative?
Yeah.
And Carla, what are you using?
I use MapQuest.
Okay.
I like it because I just put my leads in there, and then what I like is that it obviously routes them, and then I get to print out the front page of all the leads.
Mhm.
So then I like it because obviously you have to still put your leads in order.
Mhm.
So then for me, I have to input them on my routing, when I route them anyways. So what I like to do is having that front page so that I could add notes to it.
So I guess if you're,
I like that.
this is the $10 a month deal. It sounds like it's pretty good. If you're looking for the free version and you're saying, hey, MapQuest is a free version, correct?
There's another one that I use that I actually it's online. Jared, do you remember? Was it Route for me or? It's an online one, and basically what you do is you do something, you input all the information, and then it gives you you can do it for shortest time or shortest route, shortest distance as far as as far as it doesn't necessarily have to be time-wise, but obviously that all goes hand in hand. But anyways, it synchronizes it for you, and then you can print it out. The addresses in order and sequence. And what I did at that point is I just as I go through it, I just punch in. I tell Siri, take me to so and so address. I'm talking about hey Siri, take me to 23729 Bouquet Canyon, Moreno Valley.
Getting directions to 23729
For me, it's
Bouquet
easy that
Canyon
way.
Place, Moreno Valley.
Because you only have to input, you know what I mean?
Right.
So if I have just a list of how to get to the next one, and then you can
Route it.
Mhm.
Head south
That's
on
exactly
New
what I
Jersey
did. That's what I
Street.
did.
Now, I think the main thing with that is making sure you have a list with those addresses printed
Which you
in
can-
order.
Yeah, that's what
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you think about it, when
Yeah,
you do the
you can
route
add it to the
for me, you
calendar.
still have to input
Huh?
your addresses.
Route for Me will allow you to add it to the
Yeah.
calendar.
You can add to the calendar.
Okay.
Lead 1 through 30, so that's why I like it.
By the way, we do have an update. Gerardo just said that you can link it to the calendar, the route planner. It seems to be the general consensus as probably the best routing tool that you guys have.
Yeah, it looks like Route for Me is the one that, like, out of what do we have, about 15 people in here?
Right.
Maybe 13 out of 15 are using Route for Me.
Where do you find that, Jordan? Is it under agenda? When you link to your calendar?
I just looked up Route for Me link to calendar, and it took me to the Route for Me page with the answer.
Yeah, you can also what I do, I don't type them in manually. I just talk to text or
Right.
whatever. All the leads. Now, the difference between this route planner and the other route planners, I would say is that on these leads, guys, once you go out one time, you're not done there, because a lot of those we didn't even get in front of. So I like to call them second pass or third pass. You got to go back out there and really get in front of this client. So when you started eliminating your leads to people that said not interested or it's gated or you talk to them but they want you to follow up with them in the future, you picked up a contact, you're not going to go back on those leads anymore, right? But you still have them on your route planner. What I like to do is just eliminate them really quickly and just reroute my route again, and it just makes it that much easier for me. It's just very convenient. Not having to go back on MapQuest and organize it all. It's just very convenient. I like the application personally. It's allowed me to be extremely effective out in the field.
By the way, on that point, Adrian, can I say something? This is actually not, and I don't want to get too far away from the apps because this is what we're doing today, but the leads, how many of you are truly going through those leads at least 3 times? Well, we need to do maximum 3 times, but 3 times, right? So here's the thing, and this is very important because when you do ask for new leads, Adrian, how effective is it to leave a card or a hanger and then come back on the second or third time and you're like, well, yeah, I actually left it 2 weeks ago.
Right. Extremely effective.
It is. It plants a seed for that client. It's like you've been there. This is like serious. Not like just somebody who just showed up, doing like a up and down the street. I'm actually here to see you specifically, and I'm back again. So when you do that, it actually plants a seed. So it'll either work for you or it'll work for the next guy. Just like when, for instance, like when they call, when we call and they're like, oh, you guys, or somebody already sent me a mailer. Well, perfect. Yeah. So we actually do send out a lot of mailers or whatever the point is.
Right.
Or, we're actually, you use that last person's seed as your advantage. And potentially when you guys do that the first time you leave a card and you don't go back to it, you planted a seed for the next guy, for your competition to actually have an advantage.
Right.
And so you should take advantage of that actual position that you put yourself in. So make sure you're going through your leads. If you have 20 leads in 1 week, brand new, how many are you going to, statistically, Adrian, how many are we going to LC? And LC is one card.
Out of the 20?
Mhm.
Half of them.
Half, 10. Easily, half 10 LC. And those are good, viable leads for that next time around. So that when you come back in and you ask for new leads, you don't need to ask for 20 leads, you ask for 10 leads. But you can ask for 20 as long as you're going to incorporate it and do them. Right. Make sure you're utilizing those leads, What
was LC again?
Left card.
Left card, okay.
Yeah, left card, no one available or whatever.
Not moved in. I use not moved in and NMI,
By the
LC.
way, I really want us to change this because this is huge. We want to differentiate between left hanger and left card. Please note if it's a left hanger,
Right.
note left hanger. If it's left card and left card, because that's going to make it's a big difference for you too. Once you leave a card, the lead is now turned into an aggressive communicative lead. The client potentially may call you, and if they do, it's not always going to be like in a good tone because you've triggered something that's forced them to call you. What you say is, call ASAP regarding certain situation.
So there's leaving a card, your business card, you're saying, instead of leaving the hanger.
So the first time you do it, you leave the hanger. You plant the seed, and that's more of a less invasive approach. It's more of a marketing.
You put the information on the back of the
hanger. But they'll call you, but that's more like marketing. A lot of times they won't call you off that.
Right.
You plant the seed. The next time you go back out and they're not home, you leave a card in the back of that card that says, John and Mary call ASAP regarding $384,000 loan.
Okay, so you just stick that into the door.
You leave that in the door, and then that's an LC. Now, on that, your chances of getting a call go up dramatically. Now, again, because you did trigger, call urgent, regarding if they're going to call, they're going to be like, what's this about? And also, let's say you didn't, and you go back out to see them the third time, and unless you did make contact, well, I left you a hanger and left you a card, it's going to trigger. They've gotten that. It's gone out 3 times. Once that third time hits, make sure you're turning your leads back in. Those leads become dialing leads after we actually go through them and search for contact information. Now, again, I'm sorry, I don't want to get too far away from what we're doing with the
That's a good point, though. So make sure you guys go out on these leads. Like Manny said, on the second pass is usually when I get the biggest, I guess, the set ratio, because when I left that door hanger or that card, like Manny said, it does plant that seed in that client, although they weren't thinking about it at the time. But on those door hangers, it says, what would you do if you do die today? What would your family do? We're asking these questions as they're reading this flyer that says that we could provide living benefits, all these, these different types of products that we can offer. And when I go back, they're like, "Oh yeah, we got that information. We were actually talking about it with my husband and so, right?" So at that point, it just allows me to schedule an appointment and have it be a solid appointment after they talked about it or whatever. Or you find out that they just tossed it out, and we have to ask them, "Hey, why did you do that? You didn't find any importance in this insurance? Do you already have it taken care of?" Whatever the case is, right? We'll find out, what really, how they feel about it, or what if they have it, or whatever the case is. So, going back out on these leads, it's definitely going to allow us to get
So
that
the
much
leads,
more.
by the way, when you turn it back in, you should have, along with any notes that you've taken, this needs to be on the lead. And that basically shows that the lead's been used 3 times. It's not just, so the first time is the left hanger, make sure you put the date and the time that you were out to see them. On the second approach, now it's the left card, date and time, and then on the third one, leave another card, and then just put the date and time. And now you can turn those back in. We do have lead order sheets, and the lead order sheets, the way it shows is that in order for you to get new leads, you have to have leads turning back in. We haven't been really enforcing that, but that's a huge deal because we did have more help with admin when we were not really making a big deal. Now we have most of the load going to one person, and so we want to make sure that she's not pulling leads just because people don't want to go on out on real leads again. They're really not a lead, but
I have a comment. So, how many days a week are you doing DCC, Adrian?
On average,
Yes.
3 times a week.
Okay, so 3 times. So you can talk about how are you using your app, once again, just to clarify, to hit the LCs. And so you're utilizing the app and you're basically deleting the ones that you've already been to. Correct?
Visited. If it was a person that was not interested, after the 3rd time that I went out, find out that this individual still has not moved in.
Yeah.
I usually find that those are rentals, and they're looking for someone to rent that house out. So I just turn those back in. But of course, I supplement myself with some other brand new leads, maybe 10 to 15, maybe 20. I incorporate those in my existing leads that I had.
Right.
So out of the 20 that I went out on the first week, maybe I'm left with roughly around 10. And those 10 are incorporated in the new stack, right?
Now, how do you integrate that utilizing Route for Me?
Well, Route for Me, the way I use that is, of course, I go down the routes and start deleting the ones that I've already visited, the ones that said they're not interested, not moved in. I left the card on the 3rd pass. I've exhausted all my options. I went out different time frames. I do consider that as well. So on the first pass, if I did it on the Saturday, on the second pass, I'll try to do it throughout the week. Right. The way I do that with the new leads, I incorporate into my route planner, and simply just click route, plan my route, and it'll do its thing. It does it all for me.
So what is it? You'll say like you got on Saturday, you'll then delete 10, then you'll go out, let's say on a Monday evening, and then you'll add a new 10 in.
Right. Exactly. And the route planner will, obviously plan them out for you the most effective way. And just so you don't, we're not wasting any time out there. So that's how I go about.
By the way, on top of that, there's I guess this actually we are getting kind of far away from the apps themselves, but it's a good time to incorporate this type of thing. So, like for instance, if you have requirements on a DCC client, and your excuse is I can't get a hold of the client, that's not an excuse. You can't get a hold of the client. You make contact because you actually met in the field, right? So if you have requirements and the client's not answering your calls, incorporate it into your DCC. Maybe at the end of your DCC, it's your area. We give you an area. It's your area. You don't have to worry about going outside that area. So as you continue to grow that area, you're going to have things that come up, and it's very useful to utilize the time that you're doing direct client contact to pick up requirements. Going out and saying I have an appointment that no-showed me in my area, and then going back home is completely counterintuitive to anything that can give you growth and opportunity. If you have an area that's yours and the client's not home, how long were you going to spend on that appointment?
2 hours.
An hour and a half to 2 hours, right? Well, exchange that for some actual field DCC, do some DCC, pick up some requirements. Utilize that time that you're gonna utilize anywhere. You know, showing up to an area that's your area and saying it probably no showed me, and then I just went home is completely counterintuitive. It's late, whatever, but take advantage of all those things. Those little things are what makes a huge difference in what we do. Also, this is actually wrong. Like this right here, that third time, what the pattern here is 9, 15, 10, and 9. Obviously, not right. So what I want to do here is, incorporate that during the week, or even, make that more. On your last try, change that up.
Right.
Change that up, like Adrian was saying. All right. Any questions on this for Adrian? Or
Any questions for the route planner?
Guard?
That pretty much.
Well, I just want to touch on that last question that Pat asked and what your answer as well. A little more detail about what I was saying earlier. That's where though, if you don't have the paid subscription, because I'll do the same thing. I'll just go in like once at LCs or whatever, and just swipe left. You just delete the ones that you've already hit or whatever, and then you can put your new date. Right. Well, if you don't, and I can't remember exactly off the top of my head how to do it now, but if you don't have the paid subscription, that's where they'll get you running out of routes really quick. Because every time you swipe left, it'll consider it a new route.
It's because you can delete them, but every single time you press route plan or plan route, that's when it'll generate as a
Okay.
if it routed your.
It might be different for Android thing, because every time I'll swipe left, it'll like automatically plan the route again. So you have to go in and turn it off.
Right. Okay.
You have to go in and turn it off, and then you can swipe them and it won't generate a new route. But if you don't do that, it'll create a new route every time. So there are 10 routes. If you delete 10, your routes are done for the month.
Right.
So I ran into that problem. They only started doing that like 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah, it was.
Dude, by the way, there's the technicalities of all these things, like Wendy's talking about. There's a lot of little technicalities that allows you to get around certain things. Like for instance, I don't know if you guys know these, but you all know what the IPN is, right? Or sorry,
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
just
well, not the virtual, but the
the IP.
Yeah, the IP, the Internet Protocol address.
And I used to have IPs.
Yeah.
too.
Your phones, when you're on the internet, you have an Internet Protocol.
Yeah, you're right.
On your phone,
I
if
just
you turn
lost
off
my
your phone and you're not connected to Wi-Fi, and you turn it back on, you get a whole brand new IP.
I had line
You guys know that, right?
and now I'm seven there.
If you're using your phone for the internet and you're not hooked up to a Wi-Fi, because the Wi-Fi has its own IP. Let's say you're on the field and you turn off your phone and you have an IP that you're using.
Oh, I just downloaded.
Well, you turn off your phone and turn it back on, it generates a brand new IP.